The Silent Forge. The Arcturian Dominion had been pushing humanity back for nearly 5 years. Their crystalline ships sliced through Earth's defenses like scythes through wheat, system after system falling under their control. Mars was gone. The Jupiter colonies had been evacuated. Only Earth remained, its orbital platforms forming a last desperate line of defense. Or so the Arcturians believed. Deep within Neptune's stormy atmosphere, hidden from prying sensors by layers of turbulent gases and electromagnetic interference, humanity's true answer to the Arcturian threat took shape. The UESS Prometheus floated silently, cradled in the embrace of Neptune's endless clouds, its massive hull stretching over 3 kilometers from bow to stern. It was a vessel unlike any humanity had built before, not just a warship, but the culmination of human ingenuity, desperation, and resolve. Captain Maya Chen stood on the observation deck, watching as maintenance drones swarmed around the ship's exterior like fireflies around a slumbering giant. Her reflection stared back at her from the reinforced viewport. A woman in her 40s with short black hair streaked with premature gray, eyes that had seen too many retreats, too many losses. Behind her, the soft glow of holographic displays illuminated the faces of her bridge crew as they ran final system checks. Engineering reports the phase drive is at full capacity, Captain. Commander Jackson Reed said, stepping up beside her. His voice was low, almost reverent in the hushed atmosphere of the bridge. All weapons systems online. Defensive matrices charge. We're ready. Maya nodded, not taking her eyes off the ship. 5 years of secret development. 5 years of letting the Arcturians believe they were winning, that humanity was on its last legs, technologically outmatched and strategically outmaneuvered. 5 years of gathering intelligence, analyzing Arcturian technology, and developing counters that the crystalline conquerors would never expect. Admiral Wallace is on Secure Channel 1, announced Lieutenant Park from the communications station. Priority Alpha. Maya turned from the viewport and straightened her uniform, midnight blue with silver insignia representing Earth and humanity's remaining colonies. She nodded to Park, and the main view screen illuminated with the weathered face of Admiral Helena Wallace, the last commander of Earth's defense forces. Captain Chen, the Admiral said, her voice steady despite the strain evident in her eyes. The Arcturians have breached our outer defense perimeter. We're implementing the Thermopylae protocol. Maya's heart tightened. Thermopylae, the ancient battle where a small force held back a vastly superior enemy just long enough for a strategic advantage elsewhere. Earth's forces weren't just fighting to win anymore. They were fighting to buy time. Understood, Admiral. What's our timeline? 48 hours, Wallace replied grimly. Maybe less. Their supreme commander, Vexalia, is leading this attack personally. She wants to be present for Earth's surrender ceremony. Maya allowed herself a small, cold smile. Then we'll make sure her celebration is memorable. Operation Avalanche is authorized, Wallace said, reaching off-screen for a moment before returning with a small crystalline device, an Arcturian encryption key, captured in one of the few victories humanity had managed. Authorization code, Prometheus Unbound. Maya took a deep breath. This was it. After years of hiding, of planning, of sacrifice, the moment had come to reveal humanity's true strength. Acknowledge. Operation Avalanche commences in 24 hours. She held the Admiral's gaze. We won't fail you, Admiral. We won't fail Earth. I know you won't, Maya. The Admiral's formality dropped for just a moment. Give them hell. The transmission ended, leaving the bridge in silence. Maya turned to her crew, all of whom were watching her expectantly. These men and women had lived in Neptune's atmosphere for years, separated from families and friends, working in absolute secrecy to bring the Prometheus to life. Commander Reed, call all section heads to the briefing room. Lieutenant Park, begin transmission of the avalanche signal to our sleeper agents embedded in Arcturian territory. Lieutenant Commander Jung, start final launch preparations. As her orders were acknowledged, Maya took one last look at Neptune's swirling clouds outside the viewport. Soon they would leave this hiding place, their forge of thunder, as some of the engineers had taken to calling it, and bring a storm to the Arcturians they would never forget. In the ship's massive hangar bay, Chief Engineer Seto Kenji supervised as the last of 500 advanced fighter craft were secured in their launch cradles. These weren't the outdated interceptors that Earth had been deploying in increasingly desperate defensive actions. These were Raptor-class strike fighters, incorporating reversed-engineered Arcturian technology with human innovations the aliens had never seen. "They're beautiful, aren't they?" said a voice behind him. Kenji turned to see Dr. Eliza Mbiki, the brilliant physicist whose breakthrough in phase shift technology had made the Prometheus possible. "That they are," he agreed, watching as his teams moved with practiced efficiency. "Hard to believe we've kept all this secret." "Necessity is the mother of invention," Eliza said with a small smile, "and desperation is the father of security protocols." Throughout the massive vessel, similar scenes played out as the crew of 15,000 made final preparations. In medical, Dr. Rice checked supplies for what would hopefully be unnecessary mass casualty scenarios. In tactical, officers ran simulations against known Arcturian formations. In the engineering heart of the ship, technicians monitored the revolutionary phase drive that would allow the Prometheus to do what no human ship had ever done before: appear instantaneously at its destination, bypassing traditional space travel limitations. 24 hours later, Captain Maya Chen sat in the command chair at the center of the Prometheus's bridge. The atmosphere was tense but focused, each crew member aware of what was at stake. "All departments report ready, Captain," Commander Reed announced. "Navigation has plotted our phase jump coordinates," added Lieutenant Commander Zhang, "targeting the Arcturian homeworld of Crystallis Prime, specifically their capital city of Vexalia's Ascension." Maya nodded, feeling the weight of command of responsibility settling firmly on her shoulders. On the tactical display, simulations showed the Arcturian fleet closing in on Earth, believing they faced only the remnants of a defeated human military. "Communications, send our final status update to Admiral Wallace. Let her know we're moving out and on schedule." "Message sent, Captain," Park confirmed. Maya looked around at her bridge crew. The best humanity had to offer, chosen not just for their skills but for their resolve, their creativity, their refusal to accept defeat. "This is it," she said, her voice carrying clearly through the silent bridge. "For 5 years, we've watched as the Arcturians pushed us back. We've retreated, regrouped, and let them believe they've won. Today, we show them what humanity can really do when our backs are against the wall." She straightened in her chair, her gaze steady and determined. "Helm, begin ascent from Neptune's atmosphere. Engineering, prepare phase drive for jump. Tactical, ready all weapon systems. Operation Avalanche begins now." The massive Supercarrier began to rise through Neptune's turbulent clouds, its advanced stealth systems ensuring it remained invisible to any Arcturian long-range scanners. The blue-green gases parted around its hull like a curtain being drawn back to reveal humanity's greatest achievement and the Arcturian Dominion's worst nightmare. "Approaching upper atmosphere," reported the helmsman. "Phase drive at maximum capacity," added the engineering officer. "Ready for jump on your command." Maya took a deep breath, picturing Earth. Beautiful, blue, threatened Earth, and all that was at stake. "Lieutenant Park, prepare our message to be broadcast on all Arcturian frequencies when we arrive." "Ready, Captain," Park responded. "When we phase in," Maya said, "I want them to hear these words. This is Captain Maya Chen of the United Earth ship Prometheus. Your war ends today." The bridge crew exchanged glances, some smiling grimly at the thought of the Arcturians' reaction to their sudden appearance. "Exiting Neptune's atmosphere in 10 seconds, announced the helm. Maya gripped the arms of her command chair, feeling the culmination of 5 years of preparation, of sacrifice, of hidden hope. "Execute phase jump," she ordered. The stars outside the viewports blurred, then vanished entirely as the Prometheus entered the phase realm, a dimension of pure possibility that humanity had discovered and the Arcturians knew nothing about. For a brief, eternal moment, the massive ship existed everywhere and nowhere. Then reality snapped back into focus, but it was a different reality. No longer hidden in Neptune's protective clouds, the Prometheus now hung in orbit above Chrysalis Prime, its enormous bulk casting a shadow over the Arcturian capital city below. Operation Avalanche had begun. The hunt was on, and humanity, after 5 long years of retreat, was finally bringing the thunder. Thunder of humanity. Chrysalis Prime glittered beneath the Prometheus like a diamond caught in sunlight. The Arcturian capital world was in the midst of celebration. Holographic displays projected stories of their imminent victory over Earth. Crystal spires were illuminated with conquest imagery, and the central plaza teemed with civilians watching Grand Admiral Vexalia's pre-recorded message of triumph. The human resistance ends tomorrow, the Arcturian leader's crystalline form announced to the cheering crowds. Their primitive technology and predictable tactics have proven no match for the Dominion's might. Soon, Earth will join our empire as our newest resource world. The festivities froze as sensors detected an impossibility. A massive vessel appearing from nowhere directly above the capital. Alarms wailed across the city as defense systems activated, but confusion reigned in the emergency response centers. "What is that?" demanded Sub-Commander Tixil in the Planetary Defense Headquarters. "How did it get past our sensor network?" "Unknown vessel," reported a technician, voice trembling. "Configuration. Appears human, but impossibly large. Size estimate places it at 3.2 kilometers in length." "Impossible," Tixil hissed, crystalline appendages clicking in agitation. "Human ships never exceed 800 meters. Their technological limitations." He was interrupted as every communication channel in the Arcturian network simultaneously broadcast the same message. "This is Captain Maya Chen of the United Earth ship Prometheus. Your war ends today." Aboard the Prometheus, Maya watched as Arcturian defense ships scrambled from their docking stations, small, crystalline vessels that had terrorized human colonies for years. But now, seen from the bridge of humanity's supercarrier, they looked fragile and disorganized. "They're launching interceptors," Commander Reed reported. "Approximately 200 ships. Their capital vessels are powering up, but will take time to deploy." Maya nodded. "Perfect. Launch Raptor Squadrons 1 through 10. Target their defense platforms only. No civilian structures." Throughout the massive carrier, launch bays opened and fighters streamed out like hornets from a disturbed nest. The sleek black Raptors, each piloted by Earth's elite pilots who'd trained for years in Neptune's hidden facilities, moved with devastating precision and speed that the Arcturians had never witnessed from human craft. On the bridge of the Arcturian flagship Crystal ascended. Grand Admiral Vexalia's crystalline form vibrated with rage and disbelief. She had been recalled from the Earth assault, phase shifted back to defend the homeworld. A technology the Arcturians believed only they possessed. How? She demanded of her tactical officer. How do they build such a vessel in secret? How are they phase shifting? "Unknown, Grand Admiral," the officer replied, his crystalline structure dulled with fear. "Their fighters are employing evasive patterns we've never encountered. Our targeting systems cannot lock effectively." Vexalia's faceted eyes narrowed as she watched the tactical display. The human fighters were not attacking civilian targets, only military installations. They were disabling, not destroying. This was not the desperate last stand of a defeated species. This was something else. "Open a channel to their vessel," she ordered. Back on the Prometheus, Maya received word of the incoming communication request. "It's their Grand Admiral," Lieutenant Park reported. "Vexalia herself." Maya exchanged a glance with Commander Reed. "This is sooner than expected. Put her through." The main view screen flickered to life, revealing the crystalline form of the Arcturian leader. Vexalia's body was composed of shifting, translucent crystal segments that caught and refracted light, creating a mesmerizing, intimidating presence. Captain Chen, the Arcturian's voice resonated oddly, like glass being struck. You have made a grave tactical error bringing your vessel here. You cannot hope to conquer our homeworld with a single ship, no matter how impressively sized. Maya allowed herself a small smile. Conquest isn't our objective, Grand Admiral. If it were, we would have targeted your civilian centers first, as you did to our Mars colonies. She nodded to Commander Reed, who input a command sequence. Across the bridge, displays showed the activation of the Prometheus's primary weapon system, not the conventional energy weapons the Arcturians might expect, but something entirely different. We call it the Aegis Array, Maya said as Vex'ahlia watched with growing unease. A field generator that selectively disrupts crystalline molecular structures at a distance. On cue, the Prometheus emitted a barely visible pulse that washed over the Arcturian defense fleet. Their ships didn't explode or shatter. Instead, they simply stopped, their crystal-based technology temporarily frozen in a state of quantum uncertainty. A demonstration, Maya continued calmly. Non-lethal, temporary, and completely reversible. Your ships and crews are unharmed, merely paused. Vex'ahlia's crystalline form vibrated with suppressed fury. What do you want, human? Peace, Maya replied simply, on terms that recognize humanity as equals, not as subjects. We've monitored your communications, Grand Admiral. We know your Dominion believes we're technologically inferior, strategically predictable, and biologically unsuited for galactic politics. She gestured around her bridge, where humans of diverse ethnicities and backgrounds worked with calm efficiency. We let you believe that while we studied your technology, adapted it, and in many cases, improved upon it. The Prometheus isn't just a warship. It's proof that humanity deserves a place among the stars as partners, not as conquered subjects. The Arcturian leader was silent for a long moment, her crystalline structure shifting through patterns that likely reflected complex emotions incomprehensible to humans. You deceived us, she finally said. We protected ourselves, Maya countered, just as you would have done. The difference is that now, standing over your undefended capital, we're offering peace instead of demanding surrender. Another Arcturian appeared beside Vex'ahlia. Older, their crystalline form more complex and intricate. I am Elder Zixar of the Dominion Council, they announced. Your demonstration is impressive, Captain Chen. What are your terms? Maya had prepared for this moment for years. First, all Arcturian forces withdraw from human territory immediately. Second, formal recognition of Earth and its colonies as sovereign entities with the full rights of an independent galactic power. Third, reparations for the colonies that were destroyed, to be negotiated in good faith. She paused, then added, and fourth, a cultural and technological exchange program, so that our peoples can learn from each other rather than fear each other. The elder conferred briefly with Vex'ahlia and others off-screen, their crystalline forms vibrating in what appeared to be heated discussion. Throughout the Prometheus, crew members watched the exchange with tense anticipation. In engineering, Kenji and his team monitored the phase drive, ready to jump the ship away if negotiations failed. In the fighter bays, pilots remained in their Raptors, prepared to launch if ordered. In medical, Dr. Rice and her staff stood ready, hoping their services wouldn't be needed. Finally, Elder Zixar turned back to the screen. We find your terms acceptable as a starting point for negotiations, Captain Chen. We request a formal delegation to discuss details. Maya nodded. Agreed. We will send representatives within 24 hours. After the transmission ended, the bridge remained silent for a moment before Commander Reed spoke. They agreed much more easily than expected, Captain. They're pragmatists, Maya replied. And they just learned that everything they thought they knew about humanity was wrong. She stood from her command chair, addressing the entire bridge crew. Send word to Admiral Wallace. Tell her Operation Avalanche was successful, and that preliminary peace terms have been accepted. As the message was relayed, Maya returned to the observation viewport, looking down at the crystalline world below. The Arcturian ships remained frozen in space, their crews likely terrified and confused. Within hours, the effect would wear off, and they would find themselves unharmed. A message in itself about humanity's intentions. It worked, Commander Reed said quietly, coming to stand beside her. 5 years of hiding, of letting them think they were winning. Maya nodded. Humans have always been at their best when underestimated. Throughout our history, we've turned disadvantage into strength. The Arcturians thought our retreats meant weakness, when actually, we were studying them. Reed finished, learning their tactics, their technology, their weaknesses, and building this, Maya added, gesturing to the massive ship around them. Across the vessel, celebrations began as the news spread. 5 years of secrecy, of separation from loved ones, of watching Earth's apparent defeats. It had all been leading to this moment. Not a moment of destruction, but of revelation. Humanity had found its place among the stars not through conquest, but through ingenuity, patience, and strategic thinking. In the officers' mess hall, Dr. Mbiki raised a toast with her colleagues. To the human spirit, she said, adaptable, resilient, and always full of surprises. As the Prometheus maintained its position above Crystallis Prime, Maya sent a private message to Admiral Wallace on Earth. Operation Avalanche complete. The thunder has been delivered. Peace negotiations beginning. Humanity stands tall. On Earth, as Admiral Wallace read the message, she looked out her window at the Arcturian ships that had been preparing for their final assault. Already, they were powering down weapons systems and breaking orbit, retreating as agreed in the preliminary terms. 5 years of apparent defeat had culminated in humanity's greatest victory. Not a victory of destruction, but of recognition. The galaxy would never underestimate humans again. And aboard the Prometheus, Captain Maya Chen watched as a new chapter in human history began to unfold, one where humanity's thunder would be heard across the stars not as a threat, but as a promise of what cooperation with Earth could achieve. The silent forge of Neptune had produced not just a weapon, but a future.